Hi everybody, this is Mal, our M-Tech here. I discovered more remarkable things that the transmitter can do. I believe it really is producing non-Hertzian radiations or scalar energy transmission. And I believe it's doing all that, these remarkable effects with this bucking coil here. Like I said in my last video, this bucking coil, which is wound in the opposite direction to the L2, is causing all these effects. And this bucking coil is equal in mass to the combined mass of the L1 and L2. That's all very important. The L1 is 8 gauge wire, 1 inch long. The L2 is 26 gauge wire, 4 inches long. And the L3 is 16 gauge wire, 2 inches long. And I'll give you a quick measurement. I'll hold the tape to it so you can see that. As you see, L1 is 1 inch, L2 is 4 inch, and the L3 is 2 inch. So you can see that with the tape. Basically I figured out I can run a 120 volt LED light with a simple voltage multiplier circuit. Now this voltage multiplier circuit receives the power wirelessly just from this little copper antenna that sits next to the transmitter. And this copper antenna was cut at a length that matches the wavelength of the transmitter's frequency, which is about 2 megahertz. Now, anyway, I can run this LED light and it produces no power draw on the transmitter when it's on, when I run this LED light wirelessly. And I can also run loads between two separate metal ground points. So I have more power in the system from a wire that goes between my metal desk and my grounded wall outlet. This just connects to the ground of my wall outlet. This is also a dead outlet. Hopefully I can show that with my meter. There's absolutely no electricity in this outlet. The wiring in this room wasn't done correctly when we got the house. So the only power in the room comes in from one outlet in the corner here, which you can see. All the power in the room comes from that one outlet, and it branches off to the room. All the other outlets in this room are dead. So I'll set this to AC, and hopefully you can see that. I just get the probes. As you see, it's a dead outlet. It's a completely dead outlet. And those probes are in there pretty deep. So we're only utilizing the ground connection of the outlet, which would not be dead. The ground connection would bond to the other grounds of the outlet. I mean, the ground connection would bond to the utility ground at the front of the house. And this, obviously it works. So as you can see, I stuck the leads in my power strip here. We have 120 volts AC. I have a lot of people telling me I'm faking shit in emails. I think they're just trolls and whatnot, but nothing is faked here. There's nothing under the desk. There's nothing in my room. I just have a lot of shit in a small space. I try and keep it clean. But I'm not perfect, and I also work full-time. There's nothing under here. Just a big block of metal. This is all more tools. It's an important piece of paper here I can't let you see. But yeah, there's nothing strange going on anywhere. Now anyway, I will turn the system on, and as you see, there's nothing in the coil. There's nothing underneath it. Hopefully you can see that. Again, there's nothing anywhere. So I'll turn the system on. This is my DC supply. It can go from 0 volts to 120 volts DC. I'll turn it on, and the LED light immediately comes on. And keep in mind, I'm using 2 watts of power to do that. We're consuming 11.77 volts, 0.170 milliamps at 2 watts. Voltage we're using, current we're using, wattage we're using. Now, the wattage drops when I back further away from the transmitter because I was affecting that field. So we have the light lit here from our wireless voltage multiplier circuit. It's receiving power from the antenna and the ground point from the outlet. That's a dead outlet. We're just using the earth ground from it. This would also work with a metal pipe in the ground, which I tested in another experiment far away. This transmitter will work running off a battery, which I've tested in the middle of a field. There's no effects from the grid going on here. I can take one of these little receiver lights too, and we still have wireless power. So I'm running an LED light, 120 volt LED light, less than 2 watts of power, and I still have these amazing effects. This technology can create unlimited lighting. And these are just two 1N4148 diodes in a pigtail configuration, and you ground the bottom here where they come together. And the more sensitive one would be the BAT41. They get brighter at a distance, so I'll take these two and I'll show you what I mean. So here's the BAT41 diode. If I just touch this to a grounded outlet cover, it'll glow brighter than with the 1N4148 diodes, as you see. Might even glow on the sink. Yeah, okay, it glows on the sink too. Might even start to glow as we get near my room because the transmitter's on. Should work through the wall. Yeah, see it glowing right there. Starts to glow in my hand when I'm about 3 feet away. Really likes this receiver coil. People want to know why I have some of these rocks here. Well, some of these special exotic rocks actually give off a oscillating RF field, and I've been experimenting with that. But yeah, I've just been working a lot, got a promotion at work, been busy as hell, still doing the research. I sell these as kits. I sell a large version and a small version. The large one is $350 plus shipping. The small version is $150 plus shipping. And I'll have 2 more larger models coming out that can do remarkable things. All kits are plug and play. It comes with everything you need to do cool experiments. It comes with the transmitter itself, a mini variable DC supply, and some of these wireless lights. Now, I'm going to try and get this in frame, but I'll put the light... Oh, whoops, I lost my connection. The connection on this LED is pretty, well, it's just a thin piece of wire coming off the end. And you can actually see this make a spark, too. Like, there's a good amount of juice here. Like, I'm not sure if you can see that sparking. That's a decent amount of power. And according to my calculations, right now the output power here is equal to the power it takes to run the Tesla coil. So we're receiving an equal amount of power that it takes to run the coil. Now anyway, I was going to disconnect this, try and get it in frame. Let me try and get this in frame. So I'm going to disconnect it, and you'll see there'll be no change. Well, there is a slight change occurring, but I believe that's only because the power supply is sitting too close to the transmitter, and I might be able to fix that. I was doing this last night a lot, and there was no change. So anyway, I'm going to try and film this. Things can't be too close to the transmitter. See, there we go. Now there's no change. Load is disconnected, consuming 1.942 watts. I connect the light, still consuming 1.942 watts. There is no change in power consumption to the transmitter. That DC power supply is what's running our transmitter to produce the wireless power. As you see, there's no change. So what does that mean? That means that the transmitter that runs wireless loads that are far enough away from it do not produce an electrical strain on the transmitter. Now, I've got that LED light lit and going. I can also take this light. I can put this on any metal body in my room and it will light very brightly. I can light up an unlimited amount of these without producing a power drain on my transmitter. I touch this to here, it lights. I'm going to try and get all this in frame. It's hard to get it in frame, but you get the idea. Here's another really good example I can do. Look at this. That lights too. Dimly, but it's lit. Oh, it loves this top coil. Look at that. Again, I can light all the little LED lights I want. For some reason, I can get the LED lights to get extremely bright. And I had some ideas to buy the most sensitive RF receiving diodes, combine it with the brightest, most power efficient LED lights on the market. And since I can light up an unlimited amount of LED lights, would I be able to direct that light into one of the most efficient mini solar cells and produce enough power to self-run the system? That's a theory worth trying. Like again, there's no change when I connect and disconnect at all. There's no load. And keep in mind, this transmitter isn't even my most efficient version. This is my experimental one. I sold the best ones I have, and I already know how to make the circuit much more power efficient and much better. Like, the final version will probably run off 200 volts DC, 100 milliamps. I'm going to turn this up to, we'll have it use less than 10 watts. Let's show you what it can do. So that light is extremely bright now. That light is extremely bright. We're using less than 10 watts of power. And this is where it gets crazy. It'll glow brightly, just bringing it near earth connections. So keep in mind we're doing all this with less than 10 watts. Look at the range. That's just touching my metal oven. I'm going to do something else too, that I discovered, where if I take a receiving coil and I get some wires, the wires act as an antenna. They have to be decently long. Well, not too long. If I take this coil with me, this is where it gets crazy. I'm a pretty good distance from my room. And I'll take one of these, I'll get my most sensitive receiver light here. I'm doing everything one-handed, so you gotta bear with me. Now this is weird. If I connect this to, the light will be running coming off the L1 coil, the fat coil. And then it will be also connected to a ground. This is what gets weird. And sometimes it lights. I'm just gonna have to put you guys like right here for a second while I make these connections. Because I need the lead to be longer. Okay, and this also lights up outside too, even when the transmitter's not on. Sometimes weird effects occur, which got me involved in a receiver that can activate the load with no transmitter. So anyway, this light will light in certain areas. Just have to find the correct spot. May take a few minutes to set up, but as you can see, it's lit. I'll move it down here. And I bet you I can connect this to my grounded heater and it will light. So there's probably standing waves occurring between the earth ground and the receiver coil. As you see, I connect it to my heater and it lights. This works outside in the dirt too, which makes me want to build a bigger transmitter to do even more experiments. And if I tune the inductance of the coil or the capacitance by bringing my hand near it and doing this, the light will get brighter or dimmer, as you can see. And I'm just touching the coil. Hopefully you can see that. So the effects are coming from the coil. And this coil is built nearly identical to the transmitter, which is very important. And these experiments are great to do at night, where you can see everything. I'll put this down here on my kitchen floor and connect this to my grounded oven. It should still light. Yeah, it's lit dimly. Now I've been able to get this light to light when the transmitter is on all the way in my work shed, up to 500 feet away. You need an identical receiver coil though, and that's my work shed way over there, 500 feet away. And I didn't even mess with a variable capacitor on the receiver coil or anything. Like what I'm saying is I have the ability to make this much more advanced, but I've been so busy with work and whatnot. But it will eventually get there, because my side business is building these, selling these, and doing the research. It even lights up on connecting it to just this metal strip on the floor. Just like any body of metal will allow it to light. Check this out. Look at that, it's lit right there. How weird is that? Weird effects occur with this transmitter. Connecting a receiver coil to any grounded body of metal, whether it be just near the earth or any isolated body of metal, will cause the light to light, and I'll show that. So anyway, we got that going, that LED, consuming less than 10 watts of power. I can light up an unlimited amount of these, no problem. It even lights in weird spots too. Anything metal seems to accumulate a charge. But yeah, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was grabbing a plane of metal. Certain metals collect more of this energy than others. Okay, you see that? Right now it is not lit when it's connected to the plane of metal. But if I bring my hand near the coil to tune the inductance, it will light. You see that? Okay, we have something occurring. There we go. It's lit. Just from my hand being near the coil. I'm just doing this. Maybe if I move this ground point antenna further away. Yeah, now it's lit. Now it's lit because there's a greater potential. So what's occurring is the coil is wirelessly receiving the energy. The light is lit dimly, and the light is lit because the other potential is this antenna, which is actually acting as a ground, which gives the LED light something to work back against for a difference in potential, causing it to light. And my cat's in here. And anyway, I'll shut the transmitter off and show you that all these effects will cease. And like I said, my last video proved there's something abnormal occurring here with the production of possibly scalar energy or non-Hertzian energy being generated by the transmitter. And it all comes from this L3 bucking coil. Now I'll shut the transmitter off, which it's off. And as you see, this light will be out now. This light is out completely. So, hope that answers people's questions. The people who say I'm faking things, well, tough shit, nothing's faked. I wouldn't devote like 3 years of my life to this research, wasting my time faking shit. I'm part of multiple groups of researchers online that are dedicated to the systematic improvement of this technology. We're worldwide, part of the ESTC. And if you want to help fund this technology, all the links are in my page's description. We have a Patreon, GoFundMe, all this other stuff. And like I said, I sell these as kits. You can contact mtechindustries2022@gmail.com if you want to order. This is real Tesla technology. And there's the CIA even declassified scalar energy technology. So it's out there, folks. Like it's not like pseudoscience. It's real. And the effects I demonstrate are real too. So again, I'll turn this back on. Assuming less than 10 watts. We have our distant receiver coil. I bet you if I elevated him to a higher height, yeah, look at that. He's pretty brightly lit now. Amazing, huh? And if you're far enough away, from the coil, the transmitter, your wireless loads will light without putting an electrical strain on the transmitter. You can light in a limited amount of wireless loads. The transmitter might possibly have an unlimited working capacity. And the light will get even brighter if I bring my hand near the coil and tune the inductance. And everything faces away from me in videos. And if I bring my hand near the coil, I can get the light brighter or dimmer. But yeah, that's what I wanted to show. I wanted to say thank you all to those who support me. And again, feel free to like, subscribe. Feel free to help donate or fund this technology. I'll shut it off. It's off. The light goes out. I showed you guys in the video that outlet is dead. We're running the LED light between that wireless voltage multiplier circuit. This light will now be out and dead. And the other thing I discovered too on accident at night is if you take this coil and you do a similar setup, except you stick that connection into a pipe in the earth ground and you have this light will actually dimly light when the transmitter is completely powered off. So I think it's possible to receive cosmic energy or solar energy, and that's in the form of radio waves or non-Hertzian energy with this type of device. The only other thing I want to show is I'm going to turn this back on. I'll show you the voltage reading. We'll go back down to less than 2 watts. So again, we're at less than 2 watts now. I'll show you the power reading on these connections. I really got to get like a better way to film this or have one of my friends help me out. But like I said, we all work full-time jobs and we're busy. So anyway, I'll show you the power reading from the wireless voltage multiplier. It all comes down to the diodes you use that make a huge difference. So we got 227 volts from our wireless voltage multiplier, which is running the LED. And people will probably go, oh, well, there's no current there. Well, no, you're completely wrong. There is current there. 12 milliamps, 11.9. And I can increase that current even further if I add a long length of wire to each one of those. I don't want to touch it because I don't want to get zapped, but I can increase the current even further by adding a long length of wire to each one of these endpoints here. And as you see, that just went up even more, just from that little length of wire that I added. Now I'll remove that wire, and it drops a little bit. Add the wire again, and it goes up. And let's see if our voltage decreased. No, it actually went up a little bit. So, in theory, I could make this what would look like isolated snake tail wires coming off of the this voltage multiplier. And I did do this a few times, and I actually blow the diodes. It'll produce around 30 or 50 milliamps at 400 or 500 volts, and it will blow the diodes. Like, the problem is a component issue. It can't handle the power that's being received or multiplied / generated. And the extra power is probably coming from the ambient environment. So again, as you see, we can light the LED no problem. And again, there's no power draw on the circuitry. Disconnect. And yeah, that's basically everything I wanted to show. Again, thank you to all those who supported. Feel free to like, subscribe, and donate and help fund the research for this technology. And yeah, all these effects occur from that bucking coil that has to be there, plus the dielectric antenna. And thank you, everybody who helped.